Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Today's story takes place in a house where one simple rule kept the kitchen running smoothly until someone decided they were above it. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Sister called me lazy. Malicious compliance made her regret it. So this happened a few years ago when I was working at a warehouse and my sister was still in high school. I'd wake up early in the morning, about 5:30 a.m., to get my lunch packed, get a shower, and also get my coworkers since we carpool. My sister, she did have to wake up early too, but she got home earlier than I did, and we both had to do the dishes. It was agreed that she had to unload the dishwasher and I had to load it, and if the other dishes didn't fit, I would have to hand wash. The problem was that a lot of time in the morning, so I didn't have time to load it. My sister called me out on it and called me lazy for it, so my mom intervenes and tells her to calm down. We'll just move the time to the evening so she can unload in the morning. After that, I'd get home around 7:30 or 8 p.m. and I'd load the dishwasher, but there were many times when my sister didn't unload it in the morning, and she was there longer than I was. So I called her out on it, and her excuse was I have homework to do, so I couldn't do it. Turns out she was actually just talking to her boyfriend or talking to her friends on Instagram. I got tired of it pretty quickly, especially given the fact that she called me lazy for not getting the dishes done when I was waiting for her to unload the dishwasher. So she told me I just needed to step up and do the dishes myself. Cue malicious compliance. I told my mom what she was doing, and we both came to the conclusion that she was trying everything she could to get out of doing the dishes. I told her my plan, and she approved of it. I did unload the dishwasher to load it, but I put all the dishes that were in the dishwasher into the drying mats instead. I also made sure to stack the dishes in different ways to make it easier to fit more, but had zero organization with it. I did this all before she woke up. By the time she woke up, she saw me loading the dishwasher and she was smiling that I was doing my job, but then she got angry once she saw the tall pile of dishes put on just 2 drying mats. She started to yell and scream, which not only woke up our mom, but also our stepfather, who could sleep through anything. And they both agreed that I did my job and was loading the dishwasher. She just needed to put away the dishes. She tried to argue, but I told her, hey, I'm just doing my job, and you agreed that I'm to load the dishwasher, and you unload the dishwasher. I can't help it that the dishes were in my way of loading it. She was fuming, but couldn't argue about it. She just gave me the death glare while she would take a bowl that was on top of a plate, unstack it, and put it away, and then get the same plate that was under the bowl. She also had to get the silverware out from Tupperware containers and had to separate the spoons from the forks and knives. She was still unloading when I was heading out to work. After that, she started unloading the dishwasher in the morning and I loaded in the evening. Edit. Just so you guys know, yes, we've tried punishing her in the past, like taking away phone privileges to the point where the line was canceled, car privileges, and gas card privileges, but nothing worked. So I was honestly surprised that this worked. Probably due to the fact that she knew I could do that again and would have kept doing it too. I would have just added more dirty dishes in there since the clean ones were supposed to already be gone, so the ones in there must be dirty. Really cram it full. Then make a big deal about thanking whoever put all those dirty dishes in there for you in front of everyone. And our second story. Cash only, you say? I was living in an apartment with a small lot, and during the winter, if there was a storm, we were supposed to move our car to the street for the plow. Usually, we'd get an email and or text with the time to be out by, usually. So one night, overnight, we get about 1.5 inches of snow. This is a place that gets a decent amount of snow, so no big deal. I wake up at a normal time, no text or anything. It's going to be like 40 degrees and sunny, so it's going to melt anyway. I figure I don't need to bother moving the car, so I sit down to play some video games before I go to work. Around 10 a.m. or so, I hear the plow outside and say, okay, get my boots and coat on and get ready to go. I get outside, plow's gone, and people are starting to move back into the lot, so rather than move my car for the sake of moving it, I clear off the snow, grab my shovel, and clean out around the car where it got plowed in. Honestly, our plow drivers suck, so it was the cleanest spot in the lot. Go back inside for an hour or so, walk outside to go to work, and car is gone. What's that about? I didn't get any call or notification or anything. Nobody knocked on my door. I'm 99.9% sure it got towed, but I'm fuming, so I called the police non-emergency line to report it stolen. Police, super helpful. I explained the situation and that it's probably towed, but I'm confused as to why it was towed. They say it's a civil matter, so they aren't going to charge anyone with theft, but they are at least able to locate where the car is. Tow shop across town, $15 cab fee? Whoopee. Call the shop to confirm my car's there and see what the damage is. $180 cash only. This is like 2019 in the United States, so cash only, kinda weird, but I was working at a winery making tip, so I had a lot of cash saved for a rainy day, luckily. A quirk of that is being a small place, oftentimes the tips are in small bills, and we usually don't have enough big bills to exchange them, so on a day I make $100 plus in tips, I leave with a lot of ones and fives. First, I tackle my change jar and count out $18 of loose change. Then I get the rest of the cash, as many ones as I can. Then 2 fives gets me to $180 even. Perfect. Honestly, this was only half malicious and half wanting to take the opportunity to unload the absurd amount of cash I had laying around. But off I go. Get to the shop, ask if there's anything they can do because I really don't think they had a real reason to tow me. Nope, nothing we can do, just following orders, the person behind the counter says with a very smug grin. Her grin turned to horror when I pulled out the change bag. I spend the next 15 minutes watching her meticulously count out pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, ones, fives, $180 even. I'm $10 short. I misheard her on the phone. It was $190. I pull a 20 out of my wallet and ask for the 2 fives back. Oh man, was she pissed. Was this petty, or did the tow truck desk lady do nothing wrong? Absolutely. But if you're going to tow people's cars and make them pay nearly $200 in cash, don't be surprised when they bring cash. And our next story. Demand a second seat? Sure. I witnessed a little bit of unintentional malicious compliance a few years back on a connecting flight from San Francisco to Salt Lake City. I was at the check-in desk about an hour before departure when a passenger, let's just say he was on the larger side, stepped up to the counter. He was insistent, almost from the moment he opened his mouth, that he wanted to buy a second seat so he could be more comfortable during the flight. On the surface, fair enough. Long flights and cramped seats aren't fun for anyone, and if he wanted extra space, that's his choice. The check-in agent, however, was polite but reassuring. She told him he really didn't need to buy a second seat as he'd have plenty of room on this flight. From her tone, I assumed she already knew the load numbers and that this particular trip wasn't even close to full. But the man wasn't having it. He kept repeating that he wanted a second seat no matter what. The agent tried one more time to let him know it wasn't necessary, but he doubled down and demanded she sell him one. Eventually, she shrugged, pulling up the booking screen, and charged him for another seat right next to his original one. I overheard her tell him it was just over $200 extra. He seemed satisfied with himself, as if he'd won some sort of negotiation. Fast forward to the gate. By the time I arrived, boarding was already well underway. Our determined passenger was among the group waiting to scan their passes. We were in one of the last boarding groups, so there wasn't much standing around, just a quick pass through the scanner and onto the plane. Only about 5 more passengers came in behind us before the gate was closed. When I stepped onto the aircraft, I instantly understood why the desk agent had been so confident about the plenty of space thing. Out of roughly 150 seats on the plane, there couldn't have been more than 30 or 40 occupied. I kid you not. Every single passenger had an entire row of 3 seats to themselves. It was like flying in a private jet, but with airline coffee. Our friend, who was seated just a few rows ahead of me, didn't find this amusing. The second he realized everyone else had a row to themselves without paying extra, he started grumbling loud enough for half the cabin to hear. Flight attendant walked by and he pounced, demanding a refund for the second seat he'd purchased. The FA clearly already knew the backstory. She calmly explained that the desk agent had told him it wouldn't be necessary and that he'd chosen to buy it anyway. She politely asked him to settle down, warning that if he didn't, he could be removed before takeoff. That shut him up, at least verbally. For the rest of the flight, he and his wife sat side by side, hunched over a phone and tapping furiously, clearly drafting a long, angry email to the airline's head office. Sometimes you really do get exactly what you ask for. To be fair, if she didn't tell him the plane is less than half full so he can accommodate you without you having to purchase a second seat, then I don't think she was being clear at all. And I think this man may have also been trying to prevent a situation where he was encroaching unfairly on another passenger seat. And our last story. Gas thief neighbor learned why you don't mess with me. Several years ago, I was living on the northwest coast of Puerto Rico. If you've never been, it's a laid-back slice of paradise. Palm trees swaying, endless little roadside food stands, and that perfect ocean breeze that makes you forget what day it is. My apartment sat on a cliff with a killer view of the water. The building was small, maybe 8 units total, mostly quiet folks who minded their business. The only downside, the electric grid in that area was, let's call it vintage. During rainy season, losing power for a few hours was just part of life. No one panicked, you just lit some candles, cracked open a Modelo, and waited it out. I had a gasoline generator for the longer outages, nothing huge, but enough to keep the fridge cold and a fan running. I kept an orange 5-gallon gas jug outside, tucked near my balcony door. I figured nobody in the building would be low enough to steal gas. Enter my new neighbor. He moved in 2 doors down, and I'll admit I was impressed at first. The guy drove this immaculate custom Chevy van from the 70s, shiny, deep blue paint, chrome wheels, spotless interior. All it was missing was an airbrushed wizard hurling lightning bolts on the side. I thought, cool, maybe he's a car guy, we'll get along. That was before I realized his personality was more rust than chrome. The first time I caught him, it was mid-afternoon. I'd just come back from the store when I saw him crouched next to my jug, hose in hand, siphoning like he was in a Fast and Furious heist gone wrong. I walked up and said, "You want to explain to me why you're stealing my gas?" He froze for a second, then straightened up and tried to play dumb. I thought this was mine. Same color jug, you know." "Really?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "You keep your gas on my balcony now?" He mumbled something about just borrowing a little and slunk off with his van keys jingling in his pocket. I figured maybe embarrassment would keep him from trying again. I was wrong. A week later, after a big storm knocked out power for half a day, I went outside to check my generator. The gas jug was noticeably lighter. I hadn't touched it. And guess who just happened to be revving his beloved van that afternoon? That was it. Time for a little neighborhood justice. I emptied the jug into my generator and topped off my car. Then I drove to the nearest station and filled the jug with diesel. I made sure to splash a little on the outside for authenticity, just in case he sniffed it. I set it right back in its usual spot. 3 days later, around 7 a.m., I woke up to the sound of coughing metal and a man yelling. Peeking out my window, I saw him behind the wheel of the Chevy, turning the ignition over and over. The van was belching smoke like a dying dragon. "Come on, baby, don't do this to me," I heard him mutter, slapping the steering wheel. Then the coughing stopped, completely dead. An hour later, a tow truck rumbled up. The driver hooked the van while my neighbor stood there looking upset. The expression on his face when he signed the paperwork was priceless. I leaned casually against my balcony railing and called down, "Everything okay with the van?" He didn't even look at me. "Yeah, fine," he muttered before climbing into the passenger seat of the tow truck. The van disappeared down the road, and for the next month I saw him walking to the bus stop every morning with a face like thunder. He never so much as glanced in my direction. Then, just like that, he was gone. U-Haul in the driveway one day, apartment empty the next. Word around the complex was that he'd been a pain in the butt from day one. Loud parties, unpaid rent, constantly borrowing stuff and forgetting to return it. Apparently, the landlord was thrilled to see him go. I never found out what the repair bill for the van was, but judging by the look on his face when the tow showed up, I'm guessing it wasn't cheap. That said, swapping diesel into the gas ride can grenade the fuel system, pump, injectors, cats, and if it ever traced back to you, could look like intentional property damage. You are reacting to theft, sure, but the legal risk is real. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.